Our 2025 Miss Magnolia State Pageant Queens were treated to a trip to Italy, Spain, and France as part of their prize package for winning the state pageant. So in this video, we're going to focus on their trip to Florence and Pisa, Italy. Well, we left out on June 24th, 2025. 3 of our queens left out of the Jackson airport and 1 of our queens left out of the Memphis airport. Our queens are going to enjoy a 9-day cruise on the Norwegian Sky. Now here's part of our group. We had a total group of 16 attending this trip and we had a great time together. So one of our parents had these t-shirts made for the queens. I thought they turned out really awesome. Now, luckily this year, all of the queens did meet up in Atlanta, and we were able to take the same flight to go to Rome, Italy. Now, here's a little video of us arriving in Italy. It's pretty amazing from the sky, but it's always a relief to get back on the ground. Now, I always enjoy going to Europe, but this was over a 9-hour flight, and after that, you are ready to get off a plane. Well, it was pretty simple. We were able to get our luggage and then go straight to the buses that took us to the cruise ship. This was all provided by the cruise ship for us. And here's a couple of our girls that we were on the same bus with. Now, here's a brief drive through Rome as we are headed to the cruise ships, and you can see the cruise ship over there in the distance. We were all ready to get on that cruise ship and take a nap. We have been on that plane a long time. Here's our cruise ship. It's called the Norwegian Sky. It's a beautiful ship. And then here's Jennifer and Kaylee posing in front of the cruise ship. And then here's our group that traveled together in that leg of the trip. Some of our girls were on another bus. Well, I didn't have much video for that first day because we were all just kind of catching up with sleep. But here's our second day when we got off the ship and our girls were ready to go see Florence and Pisa, Italy. We all did the same excursion, all 16 of our group members, so we can enjoy one excursion together because we do let the queens do different things throughout the cruise, so we don't monopolize all their time. Here's our girls on the bus going to Florence and Pisa. And then here is Summer and Emma Kate walking to our first event, which was seeing the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now we had a guide and she walked us through the city to get to our destination. Well, it wasn't that long of a walk and it was kind of a cool walk. They took us through all the area where they had all the vendors. And of course we had to hit some of those on the way out because they had all kinds of little goodies. And then here we are walking into the main plaza where there's several buildings. And then there is the Leaning Tower of Pisa. That is a huge tourist attraction. And I did listen to the guide some. And you know, as they were building the Leaning Tower of Pisa, they knew it was going to be crooked, but they kept going and they tried to compensate and make it a little more straight, but it really didn't work. And it ended up becoming the country's huge mistake that became a huge tourist attraction. So here it is in all its glory. And then I love watching the people taking pictures with it, like they're pushing it or leaning against it. It's hilarious. And then here are our queens posing in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This was a really sunny spot, so we decided to move on to a different spot to see if we could get some pictures of the queens in the shade. One of the many things I love about our Miss Magnolia State Pageant is we give 4 ladies each year the chance to travel to Europe and see things they might not have ever got to see on their own. So I'm very proud of that. I love doing that for the girls. Here are our beautiful queens. They got a lot of attention while they were there with their banners. We didn't make them bring their big old heavy crowns. We thought the banners were just plenty. We had such a beautiful day. I had only been here one time before, and the time we went, it was like tornadic weather. You couldn't even take a picture. It was storming so bad. So luckily, God gave us a beautiful day to take these pictures. We got several great pictures of the queens, and I'm sure we're going to use one of these with the Leaning Tower of Pisa for the cover of our program book because they turned out so great. But these queens are getting along fabulously. They're really bonding and they're already halfway through their year. So I know they're going to be sad when we crown new winners in November, but we'll add 4 more winners to our big old pageant family in November. It could be you. You could be going to Europe next year, just like these queens did. Well, in case you don't know our queens, our first queen is Summer Britt. She's Junior Miss Magnolia State. And then we have Emma Kate. She's our Miss Teen Magnolia State. Kaylee Buenaventura, our Miss Magnolia State. And Jennifer Davis, our Mrs. Magnolia State. Here's Summer and Emma Kate posing in front of the tower. And then we have Kaylee and Jennifer posing. These are great pictures. We began taking our Miss Magnolia State pageant queens on their prize trip, beginning with our 2006 winners. And we've been taking them to Europe for the last 3 years. In 2023, we took our queens to Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. In 2024, we took our queens to Greece and Turkey. And this year, our queens actually got to see 5 countries. They got to see Spain, Italy, France, Monaco, and Portugal. The excursion was a full day. It took us about an hour on the bus to get to Pisa. And then when we left Pisa, it took us another hour on the bus to get to Florence. So we just enjoyed Pisa the best we could. I think once we got there, they gave us about an hour, hour and a half. So we took our pictures and then we did a little shopping. Look at here. They had a little McDonald's hidden in one of the shops. And here are our friends, Butch and Layla, that joined us from Virginia to join us on the pageant trip. Had a great time with them. It was a lot of fun. Our queens brought their family members, and we had a great time getting to know everybody, and we had a total of 16 people in our group, so we were a big happy bunch. Now here we are in Florence, Italy. This is a copy of the statue of David outside. Now some of our queens did go inside the museum and actually see the real statue of David. And here's Jennifer showing off her Mrs. Magnolia State banner, and then here's Summer showing off her Junior Miss Magnolia State banner. Now when we got to Florence, some of our queens did separate to do their own things, so in our group, we had Jennifer and Summer for a while, so you'll see a lot more pictures of them with us. Now, one of my favorite things to do is travel to Europe. There is nothing like just wandering the streets in Europe, seeing all the different alleyways of shops and all the different sculptures and all the different vendors and all the different stores with their different foods. Had a lot of leather goods here. Of course, we had to do all the typical touristy things you're supposed to do while you're there. And we went to see this beautiful bridge here. They had shops on top of the bridge, and we actually go on it in a minute. You'll see all the jewelry shops. But it was one of the only bridges that was not destroyed during the war. So it's a big tourist attraction. It's beautiful. You can take great pictures here, and we had a good time exploring there. Now here it is on top of the bridge. It's just it doesn't look like you're on a bridge at all, but there's a lot of jewelry stores on this bridge. And I don't know if it's a rule you can only sell jewelry on the bridge, but I think it is because that's basically all they had on the bridge. And then here's just some of the different courtyards and streets they had there. You really felt like you were in Europe. And then we ran into the Ferris family having their little lunch. And then here's a cute rubber duck with the Leaning Tower of Pisa that our Junior Miss Magnolia State Summer Britt bought at the rubber duck store. I'm glad I didn't see this because I would have bought one as well. She said it was about 17 euros. And then just here's a nice view of the city. I think this was actually taken on the bus a little bit later, but had a really good overlook of the city there. And then here's a couple more pictures of us at the bridge. I don't think Summer was with us at this point. It was just Jennifer. And then just here's another picture of the beautiful city of Florence. Now here we are when we were still in the group walking, following our guide. And they would take us down all these little alleyways to get us to the heart of the city to enjoy some of the nice shops. Now, the tour company did have an agreement with one of the stores where we had to go in and watch like a 7-minute presentation of their purses and jewelry they were selling, but it was okay because as long as you had your sticker on that you were with that bus, you got to use their toilets free the whole day. And in Europe, that's one thing a lot of people don't know is you have to pay to use the toilets there. It's usually €1 just to use the toilet. Now, Jennifer and Summer and her family hung out with us as we walked down the different streets in Florence. Well, we had been here once before, and we found this giant warehouse that was turned into this amazing food court. So we wanted to take the queens there so they could experience it. It was that good. So we got some directions how to get there. And we got to walk through the town while we were walking there, so it wasn't bad. But we ended up getting lost. We didn't think we were ever going to find it, and we had to ask different people, different directions about 3 or 4 times, but we finally found it. So here we are, just taking our time, seeing the sights, walking through all the streets, kind of looking for the warehouse with the food court, but we weren't in a big hurry because, I mean, come on, we were in Florence. We were having a good time, even if we never found it. The streets were full of shops, all kinds of touristy shops, and we did find the rubber duck place. You saw earlier where Summer bought her Leaning Tower of Pisa duck there, but I didn't go in here, but that place looked really cute because I do collect toys. Now, so many of the buildings here are just beautiful. You could just spend the day looking at the architecture here. Unlike America, our country's only a little over 200 years old, and these buildings are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. So they had a lot more time to build these fancy buildings back then. And they had a lot of vendors, a lot of cool places you wanted to spend your money. And they got a lot of our money because we all did a lot of shopping and brought back some really cool souvenirs and keepsakes. So like I mentioned before, we did get a little lost, but it was okay because the streets are so cool to see. We might not have seen some of these streets if we hadn't got lost, but eventually we were about ready to give up and just go find a McDonald's or something to eat at. But we actually got the right directions, and here it is, the big warehouse. That's the giant food court. This place was definitely worth the walk. It was full of every kind of food you can imagine, and the way they had it displayed was just amazing. It made you get really hungry really fast. I think everybody in our group got a little something different. I know we got one of the big fire oven pizzas, and I think the Brits also got pizza, and I think our friends got sandwiches, and then we got several fruit cups. Like I said, it's just a little bit of something for everyone. If I lived in Florence, I think I would visit this place every other day because they just had so much. This was a great memory for me, and I love sharing this place with the Queens. Summer and Jennifer had a great time, and then here we are at the same table at the other end with Butch and Layla. And then here's the Britt family with Jennifer having a good time. And then we got someone to take a picture of all of us at the table, and I'm so glad we went here. It was just so much fun. Well, everybody got back on the cruise ship. Everybody got to relax, take a break. We ended up getting some more snacks at the back of the ship, and here we are leaving Florence. And one thing on a cruise ship is you are never going to get hungry. They have food somewhere almost 24 hours a day. So that's a little perk of being on the cruise ship. You just get a lot of food and probably need to take your elastic waistband pants with you. So this was just a brief highlight video of their fun in Pisa and Florence. And here's my ice cream with sprinkles, by the way. And then here are our queens at dinner. We did try to get them to have dinner together almost every other night so they could have some quality time together. And then for dessert, creme brulee. Everybody loves that. And then here's Kaylee thinking about her fun day she had. Y'all, it was so much fun. We had a great time, and this was only day 1 and 2. The travel day and the first day. The Queen still had 8 more days of vacation. So if you want to see how you can win this trip next year, just check us out online at www.missmagnoliastate.com.